Hello everyone, it's Amanda Ellis. It's the 1st of March 2019. We're into the third month of a 3 numerological year. 2019 boils down to the energy of 3. And so it strikes me that in the third month of a numerological 3 year, then whatever we focus on is going to become reality, even more than normal. And I say that because the number 3 has many different connotations and many different meanings. But as I'm sitting here, I'm really feeling the energy of Jupiter, the planet Jupiter, which is the biggest planet. And it links into a colour energy. A colour mirrors bottle. Number 3 is the bottle Jupiter, and it's a coral energy. Coral is linked as a colour into all sorts of things, including suffering and helping us to end our own suffering. And yet there seems to be a lot of suffering in the world at this moment. And this video today is going to be focusing in on the power of light over darkness. A huge, huge subject, and one that is really coming to the fore at this time. Yesterday felt so intense, the last day of February, and I thought it was just me. I was really getting this sense of, for want of a better word, darkness trying to really take a grip on the collective. Not on me necessarily, but on the collective, as though we are in the grip of madness and darkness. And yet, I want to say, it was the feeling was, it was as though it's the darkest hour before the dawn. And you might have heard me say that before. But again, often energies can come back in waves. So yesterday's energy, and it's probably still here today as well, is you look out onto the wider world and you just see so much darkness at the moment. It's overwhelming in many different areas of life. And I guess what's brought it to a head in terms of it getting my attention, it's quite interesting really, is the work that I've been doing with the Michael Jackson energy. I've done 2 videos on his energy now. If you've watched those, you'll know that I personally believe that the darkness is trying to eradicate the goodness that he did upon this earth. And I believe that he was a real light warrior. I don't want this video to just become about Michael Jackson, but I'm just saying that this is one of the big areas that's really brought it to my attention just now. And I'm going to read you another email that came in, and I have permission to read this email. I'm not going to read the person's name out. I will tell you it's a young person under the age of 20, okay, who is living in Brazil. Okay, I will say where she comes from. She lives in Brazil. And this is what I want this video to be about, a response to this email, because I feel she so perfectly articulates what many people are feeling out there at the moment, and which Michael seems to just be providing a catalyst for. Hello, Amanda. She thanks me for my work. Really, it has helped me so much. I want to work with spirituality, and I'm blessed to have found someone that openly shows their gift of talking to angels and spirit without being afraid to be called crazy. It helps me to see that it is possible. She found my work via the Michael Jackson videos and goes on to describe herself as an indigo child. She says, I identify as being an indigo child, going through a process of becoming crystal, because I was always very tough and critical, but for a couple of years I've been shedding my thick skin and seeing the fragility behind it. I'm not reading personal bits out, so I'm just paraphrasing. And she goes on to talk about she has friends who are also following the same path. And she's saying that this soul family of friends, she can tell that we are all suffering from the same hurt. We don't understand the cruelty and the pain that comes from incarnating here on earth. I feel like we all know it's hard and we all have work to do in ourselves and to leave our message to the world. But recently it's been so hard. I hope you can feel what I can't put into words. I comment on your videos sometimes, and you saw a couple of comments I left. The last one was on Michael's video, and he's been helping me to go through my inner child hurt in a way that no incarnated person has been able to, and in ways I don't even fully understand. She then talks about the sexual abuse allegations against him and a few other people, I won't name them. And she says, but recently these topics have been hunting me, and I feel like I have a hard time processing the darkness. I can only cry about this when I'm alone, and I feel Michael around me. I don't understand, Amanda. I usually see the light, the love, the message, the lesson, but I don't understand this. I feel very lost and kind of numb. And when I see or hear about these cases of abuse, especially to children, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to feel. How can we not feel impotent knowing that there's that out there? And this is the crux of it. What can starseeds do when they face darkness and feel so hurt by it? I don't want to seem like I think I'm all light. I'm also afraid of my own shadows. But I want to understand. I want to know what to do as a light worker, as a spirit and as a human being. I ask for guidance and some light, and I could really use it now because I feel defeated by evil, and when I face this. I think Michael can relate to this energy of just feeling lost and hopeless facing such evil. What can one do? With much love and gratitude from the core of my soul to yours. Namaste for sending me that. So it's a huge topic. Where do we begin? Where do we begin? Let's begin with Metatron. Let's just bring his energy in. Interesting that I'm wearing yellow today. Yellow is about facing our fears and helping us to heal from them. It's one aspect of the yellow energy. I'm going to spray one of the healing sprays that I make, and this is called Fear Fighter. Okay, Fear Fighter. It shows somebody with a bow and they are firing off fire into the distance. A spiritual warrior that is shooting out fire, purifying fire into the darkness. Now this was launched as a children's spray, but to be honest, there's a lot of adults that use it, including me, because we all have a child within us. And I'm feeling like I just need to hold this up to the camera for you to feel the energy of it before I spray it. Because one message I got from Metatron this morning is that this fight, which is going on at the moment between light and dark, and which isn't new, it's always been here on this planet, but for whatever reason, it's coming back with a big surge at the moment. We are fighting this not just for ourselves, but for 7 generations hence. We are fighting this battle for our children and our children's children and our children's children's children. For future generations to be able to come to Earth and to not experience the intensity of darkness that is here right now on this planet. We live on a planet of duality. There will always be a degree of darkness to balance out the light. Otherwise, how do you even know that light is light unless it has darkness to contrast it against? So there's always going to be a degree of darkness on this planet for the foreseeable future. certainly probably in our lifetime. That's what I believe anyway, and it's what I've been led to show, be seen. But the thing is, what's happening at the moment is that darkness, which has been present for eons, buried, unseen, hidden, protected, not protected by God, but just people protecting it, that is coming up now for the biggest jet wash you've ever seen. After that has happened, there will be a cleansing that has taken place upon our earth. And it will be more light-filled. It will be lighter. But yet man always has free will. So even after a big jet wash, and all of this darkness that needs to come up to be cleansed, having been dissolved, transmuted, which is what's happening now, which is why we can see it so much, we still have man with his free will. So man may still choose to come in and do bad deeds and evil deeds, but it won't be against a huge quantity of that which already exists. Does that make sense? So I'm being shown a level of darkness upon the planet that has built up huge sediment, layers and layers and layers of it. And what's happening now is it's being uncovered layer by layer by layer until we're left with a thinner crust, basically, of darkness. Man will then have a choice. Do we keep building it up again to the level that it's been at, or do we not? That's for the collective to decide. But what's happening at the moment is it's being reduced, 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 so that we have a chance to really start again. It will be for the collective to decide when duality no longer exists upon this planet. And by duality, I'm talking about light and dark. If this planet Earth, chose to conduct another experiment, which is to bring in a reality where there is just light, darkness does not exist, that is a potential possibility that can be manifested. But at the moment, not enough people believe that that's even possible. So it's as though talking about it is a bit of, feels like a faraway dream. It doesn't mean that it's not possible, but it is something that feels out of reach at the moment. So what Metatron is showing me instead is a transition time, whereby what's happening right now is there is this jet wash coming in, exposing darkness in our midst, transmuting it, reducing it layer by layer by layer, until it gets to a level which is more pleasant for all of us to actually be here. But then we will have a choice. Do we then again just keep building it up, or do we keep it not at that level but actually remove it completely? That's a video for another day, because we are nowhere near that yet. But that is sort of where we're heading. Let me spray the Fear Fighter spray, because the thing is, the thing that locks us into darkness is always fear. So let's, just as we're even talking about this subject, let's bring in the energy of Archangel Metatron and the Fear Fighter. And this comes in, as I say, on the yellow ray. And let's just breathe into that together. So, yellow, Fear Fighter energy. Imagine that you are the warrior shooting off the fire into the collective, holding the light, being fearless, having courage, knowing that light is stronger than dark, always has been and always will be. And with your fiery bow and the fire that is expelled from your arrow, you are reducing these layers of crud and darkness that exist in our midst. Okay, so I'm going to talk now about some tools that we can use to just help maintain our light. But there's also another couple of things I want to say before I get to the tools, which is the fact that one of the reasons why the planet isn't ascending as fast and as high as it potentially could in terms of spiritual evolution is because not enough people believe it is possible, is because we are constantly fed a diet of negativity, toxicity, gossip. Gossip by nature has a low vibration. And as I keep saying, we are fed it and we don't even discern whether it's good for us. I really feel that the current situation with the Michael Jackson energy has so much to teach us. It has so much to teach us. I was out this morning and I came back into the house and my husband was just making his breakfast and he had the news on. It wasn't the news actually, it was one of these morning shows where they just feature a subject. And today they were featuring the allegations from Leaving Neverland. And they had the two accusers and the producer on. And John was just there, making his breakfast. I don't think he was even watching it particularly. And I came in and I said, there's another side to it, don't you? And he said, really? It was like, and then I just couldn't help myself. I just sort of said more or less what I've said on my last two videos, paraphrasing it down for him. And his reaction was so beautiful, actually. It was like he was really disgusted by what is being done, how this is being aired and why now. And it's like he really got it. But that's because A, he was listening, B, he was able to discern, and so few people do that. So many people just want to be fed something and not think for themselves, not question. And this is the problem, because it's a very uncomfortable experience when you start to open up and awaken, and you start to appreciate that a lot of what looks all right on the surface actually isn't. That what you are being fed and what you are being told, particularly by the media, is not always true, is a smokescreen. That's actually a really uncomfortable place to be, because it makes you start to question everything. It actually makes you question your very reality and how you look at the world. Who can be trusted? Who cannot? What can I read? What can I not? Who do I listen to? Who do I not? And that's why so many people, when faced with, as an example, something like the Michael Jackson story, won't look deeper, because they don't want to look deeper. It's much easier and much more palatable to just think to yourself, okay, I've watched that for an hour. It doesn't matter that it's just one perspective that's being shown. I've watched that documentary for an hour. Yeah, that feels okay to me. I'll take that. I always knew he was blah, blah, blah. Okay? Because they don't want to go deeper. They don't want to look at maybe the other side of things. And I'm just using Michael as an example here. There are so many examples that we could talk about. We could talk about environmental things. We could talk about Well, in fact, I do feel like I'm stuck on the Michael energy at the moment, in a good way, because actually what it's really doing, what it's blocking, and what is so disgusting about it, is what it's actually blocking is us as a species being shown what is really there. Paedophilia on a huge scale across all sectors of society. And as I said in my other video, some of the people that we look up to and respect actually being the guilty ones. It's smokescreen what's going on at the moment, but people don't even know it's smokescreen. You do, because you're watching me, I know that. But this is the problem, isn't it? It's like we feel lonely. We feel lonely because we can see something and we know there's something deeper, but yet it's as though other people are just still wanting to walk round with blinkers on. And I'm feeling Metatron saying it's almost like you've got to love the blinkers. You know, and what he means by that is try not to judge. Try not to judge. Because the people with the blinkers who don't want to look deeper, who don't want to uncover, they're doing that because it's safe. It's safe. It's going to rock my world if I take my blinkers off. There was something just very quietly, you know, documented in the media this week. I don't know whether you saw it or not. Sort of buried somewhere in the news was the fact that the Pope's number 3, I think he's being charged with child abuse. I think I'm right in that. Certainly the number 3. Just think about that. One of the Pope's closest advisors, number 3, is under the spotlight. Is it splashed across the papers on the front page? No. No, it's not. And a lot of people won't even know about that because all the spotlight is on somebody else. It's on Michael. Keep them there, because if they're there, they won't actually look at the deeper stuff that's going on, that is real, that's happening now. So it can be a really lonely place, can't it? But I think the one thing that the last couple of weeks have taught me, and I've been surprised at actually, is because I've had to push myself out of comfort zone and come on and talk about these sort of subjects and talk about Michael Jackson, who's probably one of the most controversial subjects to talk about at the moment. It's going to be even worse next week when the documentary airs on UK television. It's going to be horrendous. Come to that later. But despite all of that, I have been staggered by the amount of love and the outpouring of support for him. For people that, despite what's in the papers, they're not believing it. Not because they're complete nutters, you know, who just won't hear a bad word said about Michael, as an example. Because they've looked deeper into it. They've looked back to the court cases, they've, you know, documentaries. There's many people online. There's a lot of information. There's an awful lot of information online, actually, which you can look at, which shows you the other side. They've done their work. And they're also willing to put their hands up and say, I'm not willing to just be fed a lie anymore. I'm not swallowing it. I'm not swallowing that lie and taking that in as truth. It doesn't feel right for me. And in that light, darkness has a big problem on its hands, because it can't silence millions. It can silence one person, but it can't silence millions. And the thing is, these millions, and there are millions of them, they're holding on to a light that won't be extinguished, however much the darkness tries to do it. You know, taking it away from the Michael story, and I'm only talking about it again because it's so topical right now. It's so topical. And there is so much for us to learn from it as well. But taking it away from that, I remember, maybe it was about a year ago, one of you put a comment up, and I can't remember who you were, and it really made me, well, it made me laugh and almost like cry at the same time, because it was so perfectly poignant and accurate. And one of you said something along the lines of, I think I was probably talking about, you know, when you get trolled or you get abuse thrown at you because you believe in angels or anything else, you know, you're a nutter, that type of comment, which doesn't just happen to me, it happens to people like you that are watching me. You know, you don't believe in angels, do you? That type of thing. And this person said, you know, Amanda, if Jesus Christ were to come back in 2019 and stand amongst us, the sad truth is that most people would still deny him, because he wouldn't look the way that we think he ought to look. He wouldn't necessarily be saying the type of things that we thought he was going to say, that we've been led to believe he'll come back and say. If you feel into that, I think you can feel it's the truth. And then, my goodness, if he were to come back and stand amongst us, with the level of darkness that is here upon this planet, do you think that he would be given the platform to be able to broadcast to billions of people around the world with a message of love, compassion, forgiveness, humility, forgiveness? I've said that twice. No, people would try to thwart that. So, at present they would. Doesn't mean that it can't happen. But come back to March, come back to the 3rd month, come back to a 3 numerological year, come back to Jupiter, come back to Jupiter as the biggest planet, come back to the Jupiter energy is about what you put out, you get back. Come back to manifestation. What is it that you believe? Do you believe in the darkness? If you believe in that and you believe it's all powerful and will win eventually, you are going to create a shed load more of it. This is a month where we have to hold on to the light. We have to believe in light. And if it comes in the form of somebody like Michael Jackson and you resonate with that, you see him as a good person, despite everything that's being thrown at him, fight for that. It doesn't have to be about Michael. It can be about anything. It could be about the state of the oceans. Okay? And rather than just viewing, the horrendous state that they're in and the declining population of sea life and the pollution, all of which I know is real, if you focus on that this month, you're going to get more of it. You will add to it. You have to see the oceans clean. You have to see the oceans purified. You have to see happy animals within it, coral that is alive. And if you do that, you add to the vibration that can create that, seed that, and bring it into being. So this month, we are really urged to think very carefully about where our thoughts are going. John said to me after we had this discussion on Michael Jackson this morning, because the broadcaster in the UK that's going to be airing it is Channel 4, who are a very respected broadcaster, and actually one of my favourite broadcasters, because what they tend to do is, they do take slightly unusual subjects, but they've always had an air of independence about them. It's very unusual for them really to be airing something where it isn't that balanced. There's no comeback from Michael's side of the camp to be able to defend themselves in this documentary. It's just being presented as truth, and a one-sided truth at that. But John was saying, well, how can they air it? Based on all the things I was saying, and it's just linked into money. It's linked into viewing figures. It's so interesting when you look at what's happening now and you put it up against what's happened in the past. Because what's happened in the past is that many of us, we don't like to think about this, many of us would have been the people around the gallows cheering on and watching somebody being beheaded or persecuted. And if you think, oh no, Amanda, I'm with you up to this point, but you've gone too far now. Own your stuff. You are both light and dark. You will have been everything in previous lives. You weren't always the good guy. I've said this so many times. And so, therefore, we have almost within our DNA this compulsion to actually watch something. I call it the gallows energy. It's like, it's not really pleasant to watch this, but I can't resist. Can't resist. There's been something recently in the UK where there seems to be a lot of programmes that are coming out about serial killers. And they are 9 o'clock in the evening on ITV, we've only got 4 main terrestrial channels. I mean, there's obviously Sky, but you know, BBC One, BBC Two, ITV and Channel 4, Channel 5 as well. They're the main ones really. And so ITV seems to have this compulsion at the moment of broadcasting lots of programmes about serial killers. And I confess, I watched a couple of them because the guy that was making them, Piers Morgan, you either love him or you hate him. I quite like Piers Morgan actually, but anyway, he was doing them. I thought I quite like Piers. He's quite interesting. So I'm going to watch this programme. And as I was doing it, I could feel that battle between light and dark within me, because I actually knew it was my shadow side that was saying, yeah, watch this. There might be some gory details that get revealed. And my light was thinking, for God's sake, Amanda, turn off the television and cleanse the room with sage. Because I absolutely know that when you watch something on TV, which has a dark, heavy energy, it is transmitted via the screen. Absolutely 100%. So if you've watched horror, or again, that's another great way of bringing darkness in. If you watch horror or you watch something like that, there is an energy that is a low vibration that's being transmitted. We shouldn't do it. Why did I watch it? Because I'm being honest. I have, just as much as you have, I've got that gallows energy within me. You know, that's what we did a few centuries back. We stood around and we watched. There wasn't just one person when somebody got their head chopped off in Elizabethan times. There were crowds of people. And even if it wasn't you that did it, it would have been an ancestor. So we have to be better than that, actually. We have to be better than that. It's about, if you focus on that, well, yeah, let's breed more of that. Let's breed more of that negativity. There used to be a lady in the UK called Mary Whitehouse. Some of you will remember her. And she got so much stick when she was alive. She was an old lady. Well, she always appeared quite old for her years. And she was quite puritanical. I wasn't a great fan of her at all, have to be honest. And there was much about her that was not good, okay? We're all light and dark, remember? But her big thing, Mary's big thing, was always along the lines of, she hated the pornography and the violence and the swearing that was just started to come into TV. And she was really hot on it. And she used to come down like a ton of bricks on the TV networks. And she just chased them the whole time. You know, you shouldn't have put that out. And everybody hated her, I think, at the time, actually, and thought she was a bit of a pain in the backside. Well, 20 years on, let's look at where we are. 20 years on, you've only got to turn on your television or go to your local cinema, and there is pornographic material available more or less 24/7. I've got a digital TV, like probably everybody else mostly in the UK these days, and it actually comes, doesn't it, with pre-programmed stations. Past a certain hour, if you want to, you can watch it. Did I ask for that in my home? No, I didn't. The thing is, I don't want this to become a discussion on pornography per se, But it's more about, where's the beauty in the world? Where's the beauty? We are actually force-fed negativity and toxicity and ugliness down our throats 24/7, and we don't even realise it. This is a battle that is on at the moment between light and dark, make no mistake about it. And this March, for whatever reason, it's coming to the surface. The other thing that's coming to the surface is anger. But actually, anger, in terms of anger, can be a fuel that gets things done. Of course, I've also got the energy of Gandhi here, who was just like, so peaceful. But I've got John Lennon's energy as well. I'm not saying John Lennon was violent. I'm talking about John Lennon had anger, He had anger to him because he was angry at the state of the world. And he spoke about that. He also spoke about the need for peace. Of course he did. But anybody that knows Lennon knows that also he had this energy where it's okay to be pissed off, is what I'm hearing. It's okay to be pissed off at the state of the world at the moment, to look at what is happening. If you're completely apathetic and we're just sitting back on our sofas being spoon-fed what they want to feed us, to make us docile, and just nodding our heads in agreement at what is given to us, it's not the future I see for my children and my children's children. Go back to 7 generations hence. Sometimes anger, and I know there's something in the astrologers that watch me, just put something in the description box below. I know there's something coming up with anger this month, and Mars is doing something. But let's try and fuel that. So we don't create more violence and hatred, but we use the sense of injustice that we feel to fight for the light. That's what we're being asked to do. I very strongly feel that this March. In terms of tools then, so if there's a lot of darkness out there at the moment, which there is, again, you are always asked the question, what do you believe is the most powerful, darkness or light? I will say to you every time and time again, it is light, with no exception. Light is always more powerful, but it's also good to have some tools, okay? Because we live in a world whereby, and we live in bodies that sometimes need those tools. Metatron's calling them scaffolding. He's saying it's like scaffolding that helps protect us, reinforce our energy, whilst around us there can be a rampaging storm and darkness which is out there. So think of your tools for protection, although I'm going to actually say the word reinforcement is a better word for me than protection. So it's like reinforcement, scaffolding that you can have around you and around your home, your life, your work, all of it, that just makes you feel safer. The truth is that if you believe in the power of light, you are safe. And you might now very well be saying to me, oh, it's all very well to say that, Amanda. Look at what happened to Michael. Didn't keep him safe, did it? What you have to see there is that I feel that the story with Michael Jackson is playing out as it's meant to play out. And what I mean by that is that this is something that we're going to learn from. I personally believe that every single person that incarnates on this planet, including Michael Jackson, including you, including me, sign up for the big things that happen to them in life. He will not have signed up to something. He will have signed up to the whole story, is what I'm trying to say. And the whole story didn't end with his death. The whole story doesn't end next Wednesday and Thursday in the UK when this documentary is aired and everybody basically wants to throw, rotten tomatoes at him again. It doesn't end there. That's just a chapter. This is a much bigger story. A much bigger story that will play out. And what Metatron showed me very clearly today is he showed me this image of a child that has not yet even been born. And I can see this child so clearly in my mind's eye. He's a little boy, he's a little black boy. It's not Michael. but it's a little black boy born somewhere in the world, 2 generations hence, I'm hearing, and he is listening to the songs. He's listening to Michael Jackson's songs and he's loving it. And he's dancing like kids do, you know, and they've got rhythm, and he's just, and what I know Metatron is saying by that is that you can't kill the light, okay? The purity and the message that is within the songs that he made will live on. Even if for the next 5 years, I'm not saying it will be that long, I hope to God it isn't, but even for the next 5 years, you walk around as one of the only people in your little group that actually thinks, no, Michael was innocent and he's okay, and I still believe in him. Even if everybody else in your street thinks you're crazy or a nutter. In the great scheme of things, think about that little boy 2 generations hence, and he's just one of many. And the reason why he's hearing the music is because the music is still alive. Music carries a vibration that transcends times. It's really interesting, actually. I'm not a classic music buff at all. Much to my husband's horror. I've never been into classical music, apart from Pachelbel's Canon, which I do like. So I'm very ignorant, actually, when it comes to the great composers, Beethoven, Mozart, Elgar, all of them, okay? But I would hazard a guess that actually if you looked back at some of those composers' lives, Metatron's saying, he's nodding to me and saying, yeah, you're right. Some of them weren't perfect, okay? I don't know what that means, okay? And again, it's not about, oh, let's go and dig there and see what dirt we can find, okay? It's not about that. It's about the fact that greatness transcends the times, okay? And light, if something is filled with light, whether it be music or somebody's legacy, it lives on. So it's really important that you see what's playing out now as something that is much, much bigger than just next week, next month, or this year. It's an opportunity, actually, for us to believe in something against the odds, but we're not alone. I read that email out to you at the start because that was just one of a lot that I've got over the last week from people that are extremely upset about what's going on with Michael as an example, but equally also just upset about the darkness that seems to be out there. You know, we're supposed to be on this ascension path, Amanda, but yet why is it so dark? It's dark because, remember what I said at the beginning, these huge layers of darkness and crud and evil that have built up over time because nobody's wanted to look at them and nobody's wanted to deal with them and no one's been strong enough to even go near it. And it's been protected out of sight and hidden. We can now see it. That's good. That's progress. Even though you might look at it and think, oh my God, look at that. How foul is that? Yeah, it is foul, but at least now we can see it. We can see it. And this is a huge part of what's going on now. We're unsettled because the blinkers have come off. The blinkers are off. We can see what has always been in our midst, but we've either wanted to deny, not look at, not believe, because by doing so it's going to make us really uncomfortable. So get used to squirming in your seat a little bit, okay? But if we all squirm together, it's not going to be so bad. I'm being serious there. I've got some dragon cards in front of me and I'm going to pull one because dragons, let me show you something. This is quite funny. This dragon, look at that. I mean, look at him. Can you feel his power? Dragons are great at zapping negative energy. Now this dragon was one, I ordered this off Etsy, okay? And I had no idea it was this big. I just ordered it and I didn't even realise that I ordered it from somebody and it was going to be, it came from China. And this box arrived in my house last week and I could see it had come all the way from China. I thought, what the hell what's this? And I do get sent quite often gifts from some of you. Thank you very much. It's always sweet when I get one. And I thought, oh, maybe I've got a Chinese client. Maybe they've sent me a present. I don't know. So I unwrapped this and I thought, oh my God, it's my dragon. Look at how big he is. Isn't he absolutely amazing? So I tell you what, he sits on my desk now, and I tell you what, he doesn't take any prisoners. It's like, you know, he's looking after me. So it doesn't have to be as big as this. You can get smaller little dragons, but you know, this is my dragon, and he's just like, you know, he's one of my tools. But yeah, let's pull a dragon card. It's great, isn't he? So dragon. Oh, okay, thank you, Metatron. Dragon. Where's my fire spray? Have I got a fire spray up here? No, never mind. It's just that my fire elemental spray has got the image of a dragon on it, which is why I was going to spray it. Let's just put him back up. Metatron is saying to me, you know what I've just been saying about the layers that have built up of darkness and crud? Well, these have been built up over hundreds of years. This isn't just like 2 years worth. This is hundreds and hundreds of years. And the level of darkness, it's like a foundation. It's really deep. It differs from country to country, but every country's got it. Well, if it's been there for eons, well, who else has been there for eons? The dragons. The dragons are really interesting as an energy because they're prehistoric. You know, think back to the energy of the dinosaurs. You know, they have been on our planet for one hell of a long time. They've seen it all. So it's almost like they can see where it originates. They can see who started it, and they can finish it. The dragon comes in as a real purifier energy. I like the card that's just actually on the bottom of the pack. I will shuffle another one, but you see that it says this is in terms of the dragons. It says I want to say we are on top of the world. Actually, it says you are on top of the world, but I'm wanting that to be the dragons. It's like the dragons are saying we are in charge. Okay, great possibilities lie ahead of you. All is well in your life, and I tell you what, everything is okay because the dragon is there protecting. It's like I've seen it all before. I've been here for hundreds of years. You know, I've been here. I was here when it started, is what I'm hearing. I was here when it started, and I will be. Actually, what the dragon energy is saying to me is that they will also be here until the last whiff of darkness is eradicated from this planet, because the goal is Earth will one day be a planet which isn't of duality. It will be a planet just of love, but not yet. Not yet. I don't believe not yet. I mean, there are other teachers out there who will say different things, but it's not what I'm getting, because I'm still seeing that we've still got an awful lot to learn as a species. These times that we're in now are exciting, and yes, they're difficult, but they are exciting. Never before have other generations had the opportunity to learn discernment in the way that we are now. To be able to look at the darkness, see it for what it is, call it out for what it is, and stand in your light. Okay? Take positive action. Yeah. Take positive action. This is a time for action. It's not a time for just thinking, these are nice concepts. And it also talks about the masculine energy. Develop your inner masculinity and take action to change your life for the better. What will help heal this planet is the energy of love. Love isn't just a feminine energy. Love is also a masculine energy. Sometimes you have to do. Sometimes you have to act. Sometimes you have to speak. They're all masculine energies. It's the doing energy. It's that time. It's time to stand up and be counted. So we've got the dragon energy. You know, call in the dragon energy into your life. Whether it be through crystal, whether it be through a picture, whether it be through using a spray, whether it be through just calling in the energy of dragon. Okay? So if we call in the energy of dragon and we ask for the highest vibrational dragon that is available to you to please step into your space. the highest vibrational dragon energy to step into your space. And you feel the dragon, and they usually come in from behind. It's like a coolness that you can feel coming in from behind. And they tend to take a seat of power within the lower chakras. The energy can rise up as well, because make no mistake about it, when you've got the dragon energy within you, you can speak it. I'm speaking with the energy of dragon right now. It's forthright. It will be heard. It takes no prisoners. Okay? But the energy of dragon also just wants to sit within, in the base chakra and in the sacral and in the solar plexus in particular. So dragons. In terms of the archangels, Metatron is, and I've said this before and I will always say, he is the overriding energy that is helping this planet ascend. The reason that I am speaking up in the way that I am right at the moment, over the last couple of months, with regard to darkness and light, Michael Jackson, the allegations, all the rest of it, the secret group that we're not going to go into, but we all know they're there behind the scenes, the elite that have been ruling this planet for many years. The reason why I'm talking about it now is because it's safe to do it. Okay, I wouldn't be doing it otherwise. It's because there's enough light to support it at this time. But it's also because Metatron is in charge of the ascension of this planet, and he asks us to look at things when he knows we're ready to look at things, when we're strong enough to look at things, when there's enough of us. There's enough of us around the planet to hold this vibration of light. Okay? So what, as an example, not that I'm going to go into the group that won't have any name, that I've referred to before, because he doesn't want me to. I don't need to at the moment. Most people know what I'm talking about anyway. But say I did, and I started to talk about one aspect of maybe what they've done over the years. I could put a video out about that, and I could help support you and heal whatever's coming up. And then maybe in the comments below, we might get 100 comments about, oh, and they did this, and they did that, and they did this, and they did that. And that would almost like undo all of the good work of the one layer that Metatron is asking us to look at. And just that one layer. Because the truth is, if you looked at the whole darkness that exists upon this planet, and you just kept looking at it, and remember, if you keep looking at it, you're going to add to it, because fear helps it grow, love makes it diminish. Fear makes it grow, love makes it diminish. If you just keep looking at it, you're not helping to take it down at all. It would also be, sorry, what I meant by that is, if you're just looking at it as a whole, it's completely and utterly overwhelming, and you will not be able to cope with it. You won't be able to cope with it. Well, you might be able to cope with it, but it's not going to do anything for your vibration. You have to look at it a layer at a time. And that's what's so beautiful about Metatron. He takes us through it in a step-by-step process. And you might get frustrated and think, oh, but we want to also look at X, Y, Z. We will, in divine timing. So Metatron is a given. Metatron is a protector. I've been working a lot with the Merkaba energy recently. Every night before I go to bed, I invoke the Merkaba around myself. It's around me most of the time, pretty activated. Certainly when I'm working, but equally when I'm off work as well. So I work with the Merkaba. If you don't know what the Merkaba is, just have a look back. I've done a video on that already. Archangel Uriel, as well as Metatron, is a great energy to help fight darkness and keep us safe. Uriel, I've said this before, let's just spray his energy. He's like the one that goes in before us to make sure it is safe. Is it safe for me to go there? And if it's not, he won't let you. Whatever that means, whatever area of life we're talking about. Archangel Uriel. The energy of this one, what I've called it, is loving service and light. And this is what he's saying to me. He's saying, you came here to be of loving service and light. You didn't come here just to bury yourself in the internet and look at every terrible possible conspiracy that's out there and every terrible dark deed that's been done. He's saying what you came to just hold the light. Let us, Metatron and Uriel, uncover the layers in divine timing when the collective is ready for it. We're not going to forget, he says. And I will go in and I'll tread that path before you to make sure it's safe. It's a really, really good ally, Uriel. So we've got Uriel, we've got Archangel Metatron in the form of the Fear Fighter spray that we started with. We have to bring in Archangel Michael, of course we do. He comes in on the blue ray. And let's just spray Michael. Michael's like, I can calm it down. I mean, he is, you know, he's a fighter. He's a warrior energy, Michael. He has his sword at the end of the day, you know. Cuts through what needs to be cut through. Cuts through, you know, darkness. Cuts through ties. Cuts through the bullshit. Excuse my language, but it's this sort of video. You know, it's like I'm just going to have to say it as it's coming through. Michael. But equally he does it and then he brings peace. Then it's like, I go before you is what he's saying. I go before you and I also have your back. I go before you and I have your back. So you can be at peace. The blue ray is an energy of I can be at peace. Okay? Let me worry about this. This is sort of the energy with Michael. And then we've got Archangel Zadkiel. Archangel Zadkiel is about forgiveness. One of you contacted me very upset, go back to the Michael story as an example, and really upset about the injustice of it all and you just didn't know what to do with it, where to park it, you know, was really angry about it and like, you know, what about all these other people who are guilty and no one's talking about that. And there was just real sense of injustice in the letter. What am I supposed to do with it, Amanda? And what I said to this lady is I said, forgive. It's about stepping into forgiveness. And at that, she just sort of like, oh, yes, thank you. I'd forgotten that. Because we do. We do. Particularly when we're in like fight or flight mentality, which when we're up against darkness is often what it makes us feel like, you know. But the Zadkiel energy just comes in and says, well, they're all working in unison. It's like Uriel is coming in and saying, don't worry. I'm going before you to make sure it's even safe to go into these subjects and look at this darkness that we're now being exposed to. Michael's saying, I'm coming in and I'm fighting it on your behalf. You know, I'm cutting through it all. And Zadkiel and Metatron is saying, don't worry, have no fear. And then Zadkiel just comes in and it's almost like the last piece of it. The last piece of it is, now that I can see the darkness, I am going to transmute it into light. And I'm also going to forgive it. Let's take that step by step. Now that I see the darkness in the midst, which I could be overwhelmed at, but I'm not going to. I'm going to be steady. I'm going to breathe. I am going to dissolve it layer by layer. And what I mean by that is that I'm not going to go into fear. It's really easy to go into fear. These two have almost got to be used together, you know, like Fear Fighter and Zadkiel. I'm not going to go into fear. I can see the darkness. I know it's there. I know it's there. I'm not going to be frightened by it. I'm not going to be frightened about it because I know that light is stronger. I'm going to believe that. I'm going to manifest that. And by doing that, what I actually do is I don't let the darkness even enter me, because it can't. Because the light that I'm holding within me and around me is a higher vibration than that. Low vibrations can only come into you if you give them an entrance. That's the truth. And fear is the key. Fear's the key that says, okay, I'll just open the doors and let's just let all that in. Let's allow in all that worry, all that stress, all that fear. Oh my God, the world's horrible. I want to get out of it. Fear is the key that says, come and find a home here. No. What we do instead is we acknowledge the fear. Yeah. I acknowledge it, but I'm not going to become it. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Is part of it, but it's also about, let me just get the words right. Rather than giving you the key to my being to allow in all your negativity and darkness that either personally you're trying to throw at me or collectively is out there that I can just absorb like a sponge if I allow myself to, I'm not going to give you the key. Instead, I am going to put up the scaffolding around myself. What is the scaffolding? The scaffolding is my own I am presence that I maintain as much as I can. The scaffolding is bringing in the helpers. It's bringing in the dragons. It's bringing in the archangels. It's bringing in Christ. Christ is another huge energy, which is just so much about the scaffold. How do you exorcise negative spirits from people? Use the sign of the cross. Use the energy of Christ. And I tell you what I've been shown time and time again, which is that when the darkness comes up against the energy of a being as magnificent as Christ, who also was ridiculed and in his life, of course, and persecuted and put to death and mocked and spat at, when the darkness is up against the energy of Christ and truly looks it in the eye, do you know what happens? Do you know what the main energy is? And it's not what you see in the horror films. The main energy is shame. Shame. Because I had forgotten you. I had forgotten the light. I had forgotten the beauty. I had forgotten the divinity. I am ashamed. Lower energy is always a fallen lower energy. And actually, really, at truth, it wishes to aspire back to the light. Let's just bring in the energy of Christ now. And in a way, I'm going to end this video as I began it, because I began talking about the coral energy. Coral energy. Christ light. What are we going to manifest? Are we going to manifest light and believing in that? Or not? Let's just feel the energy of Christ in relation to what we've been speaking about in this video today. Please, can we have some guidance? Become Christed beings. That is not the same as Christians. Become Christed beings. Hold my Christed light within you. Allow yourself to be anointed with my oils of love. So you speak love, anointed on your throat. So you see love, anointed on the third eye. So you hear only love, anointed on the ears. So you stand in love, anointed on your feet. So you are crowned with love, anointed on your crown. So you are love, anointed on your heart. I see love, I feel love, I hear love, I speak love, I stand in love. I am crowned in love. Love is what I see, love is what I believe, and love is what I stand up for. Love and light is what I stand up for. Be the light. It's really important to be the light this March. There's going to be an awful lot of distraction that is going to try to pull you away from that truth, that you are light and the world is light. Remember, the layers that you are now seeing, it's because we've actually ascended to a degree where we can see what was always there, the darkness. We haven't gone backward, we're actually going forward. The fact that we can see it and it's being exposed is advancement. It's not about going back. And I'm just seeing us walking together. You know, linking arms, walking together, believing in that and holding that. Two other just quick things. Crystals, actually. I mean, there are many crystals that you can use. But there's a new one that sorry, I think it's in my bra. Hold on. Is it still there? No. Has it fallen out? What have I done with it? Mahogany obsidian. Mahogany obsidian. Somebody gave me a piece of it. I thought I was wearing it, but anyway. And the other one is smoky quartz, of course. Smoky quartz, black tourmaline, jet. They're all great crystals to just, again, reinforce the scaffolding. So whether you reinforce the scaffolding with colours, with the archangels, with the dragons, with the crystals, with sage. I talked about sage in my last video. Many, many different things that you can use. But please just rest assured that this may very well be a bit of a wobble that we're all going through. We're into another bumpy patch, but you know, actually we're advancing more than you realise, okay? And we've just got to keep our eyes on the prize. And the eye on the prize is an ascended world, which is, I wanted just to say, is actually beyond our wildest dreams. Because the thing is, most of us, I mean, I'm an old soul. I've been here an awfully long. I've been here many, many times before. And I and you have been around on this earth, and it's always been a place of duality. It's always been a place of darkness. And, you know, we're actually fortunate now to be here in a time where there is this big jet wash going on of light coming in to help to transmute, uncover and reveal. Can we really conceive of a world that's different? No, not yet. But that's fine. It's new. We'll get there. What we're asked to do this month is just to hold the light, to be steady, and also to be very much there for each other as well. I will just also say that it's really important, going back to that email that came in, it was from a young person, you know, under the age of 20. It's normal, unfortunately, for people to think you're nuts, you know, or you're crazy, or you're this, or you're that, you know. I've had every label under the sun thrown at me, and they still get thrown at me. And what actually starts to happen is, after a while, it becomes water off a duck's back, you know. It's just, yeah, you probably do think I'm crazy, because I am actually speaking a different language to you. I am actually living a different reality to you. I am actually seeing the world in a different way to you. Yes, of course you think I'm crazy, because it isn't your reality. I have squirmed enough, you know, and made myself uncomfortable enough to see the truth in a way that you don't want to. But I'm not judging you for it. It's fine. So please realise that part of the ascension path is that you're meant to trigger people. You're meant to make them feel uncomfortable. You're meant to make them think, oh God, you know, has she really lost it now? Or is he really, you know, does he really think that? They're not going to understand because they're not necessarily on that path. But it doesn't mean that maybe in a month's time or a year's time, they come back to you and say, you know what? I used to think you were off your rocker, but actually what you're saying makes a lot of sense now. And then you can have a conversation. Also realise that the more that you stand in your truth and your light and you say what it is that you really believe, you will find that there are many, many people out there that actually do resonate. That's the thing that I've been more staggered about than anything since the start of 2019 and the whole Heart Squad thing, and particularly the Michael Jackson energy. It's just like, it's been an amazing confirmation to me of how many people actually see things exactly the same way I do. And that's nice. It's confirming. But equally, even if there wasn't one person who resonated, I would still be walking my path, because you have to follow your truth. And that's the same for you. So, lots of love, everybody. I hope that's reassured you, supported you. I've enjoyed spending time with you anyway. I'll be back very soon. And I will just end by saying, on my Facebook page, which is called Angelic Celestial Colours, not Amanda Ellis, Angelic Celestial Colours, next week on the 6th and 7th, which I think is the Wednesday and the Thursday at 9 o'clock, I'm just going to be on there. I'm not necessarily doing a live, but I'm just going to be there. I'll sort of open up a post, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating some grids and lighting candles for Michael, basically. So those people that do believe he's innocent and are affected by all of the allegations and just want to show some support, basically, for a fellow light worker who I believe is being persecuted. We're going to be there and we're going to be doing that. If that doesn't resonate, that is absolutely fine. You don't have to join us. But I am going to be doing that, okay? And I'm doing it 9 o'clock on the 6th and the 7th, and that's just because those are the dates that the documentary gets aired in the UK. Okay, so we're just going to balance out the energies, because a lot of people will be viewing that and just going into fear, disgust, whatever, you know, and it's going to lower everything. So we're just going to be trying to keep the light high, okay? Much love, everyone. Take care. Have a good day. Bye for now.